Hello there, Vic Benedict here. We're playing Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, and this is on the Series X, and this is my Master Ninja difficulty Gaiden walkthrough. We're currently on Chapter 13 of 17. It is entitled The Temple of Sacrifice. So you might notice the video length. The reason it's so long is because, and I'm not particularly glad that it's long, but because that means I have to commentate longer. But the reason that it's long is because the staircase fight reflects the most recent patch/update. So if you're wondering what that update number is, it's in the description. And it added more enemies to the staircase fight, and it sure did. It's a long fight, and it's a fun fight. You can make a lot of money on it too, as well. But this is the Elizabeth stage, and the thing that I least enjoyed about this stage, as is usually the case, is that boss fight. I'm not good at it. I hate it, and I'm not going to excuse its boss because I think that it's got an irredeemable boss fight, to be honest. Now, of course, you can find no damage videos all over the place of Elizabeth, of way better players than I am, but I'm just sticking to the basics for this walkthrough because I imagine there will be many people coming to this game that haven't played the originals, so they're not going to be particularly benefited by, extremely skillful play styles and no damage, things like that. Not that I could even do that in the first place, but it will be more helpful just to stick to the basics, to be honest, because we can always come back and do another walkthrough, when they add Ultimate Ninja difficulty, which they never will. But again, and that is not to excuse my lack of skill for Elizabeth, because I'm telling you just flat out, I'm not good at her. I think she's got way too many iframes, and I don't like the way that I just I don't like anything about the fight. So I am going to be using a combination of my Falcon's Talons with the Scythe. Anytime she's just walking around, there isn't, and if you're far enough away from her, there isn't enough time to do Scythe UTs on her. And if she is on the ground, and you do a full Scythe UT at level 3, it does a considerable amount of damage. I mean, maybe not considerable, but a respectable, definitely amount of damage to her. And I know we're talking about her and she's not coming up till the end of the video, but what I tend to do on her is I wait until she flies up and does her magic attacks, and I try to knock her out of the air with the Falcon's Talons. Now, why the Falcon's Talons? Because you can knock her out of the air with the Dragon Sword or the Dragon's Claw and Tiger's Fang. But when I do knock her out of the ground, I found that the follow-up attack with the Falcon's Talons is it's a little bit longer and more damaging on her than doing by follow-up attack. Sorry, I should have said what it is. It's the on the ground 360Y attack with the Falcon's Talons, and it does a good amount of damage, and it keeps you out of harm's way more than I found with the Dragon's Claw and Tiger's Fang. She only gives you like 2 seconds to punish her, and I found that sometimes I could get away with doing 2 360Ys with the Dragon's Claw and Tiger's Fang, but most of the time, coming off the second one, she would grab me, and it wasn't doing that much damage. I thought, on looking at the health bar of hers, whereas with the Falcon's Talons doing the 360Y, it does more damage, and even though you're only able to do it once, it keeps you out of the harm of getting grabbed more than the 360Y with the Dragon's Claw and Tiger's Fang. And one other reason I don't use the dragon sword is because I only have it at level 1. I never upgrade it on this walkthrough. Because in the next chapter, at the very beginning, you'll get a free upgrade to level 4. So why waste a bunch of money? And this is another chapter that you can make a lot of money on. These guys can't be UT killed for some reason on Sigma 2 in this game. They have to be OT killed. So when they are stunned and you go up to OT them, sometimes you're finishing your UT and you can't get up to them quickly enough. So you cannot ever get blue or red essence off these guys on this version, which I don't like. Because if you didn't know, OTs will only ever give you yellow essence. And we have a couple of shit fights coming up as well. I noticed on this worm and bug fight coming up that unlike Ninja Gaiden 2, where you could kill as many worms as you wanted to forever, doesn't let you do it on this version. But that doesn't mean you can't make a ton of money killing them with Vigorian Flail UTs. And by the end of the chapter, I'll have over 200,000. So we should, I love that move, by the way, with the Lunar. I think it's a level 2 or level 3 move, and it's X forward, YY, X, and it's a very damaging move. And beyond that, I don't like to melee with Elizabeth because she doesn't let you hit her very often. I mean, the thing is, the game gives her iframes, so I don't like to just stand on the ground and fuss around with her that way. So, but you are going to have to practice her a bit about hitting her out of the air. The only problem about hitting her out of the air as well is that you really need to listen for that sound effect that she does when she gets knocked out of the air. Because if you're trying to hit her out of the air with too many flying swallows, what she might do is you might try to fly swallow her once, right? And then you might think that you haven't hit her out of the air, and then she only is up in the air long enough to allow you to do one flying swallow, and then on your second flying swallow, or it could be the third, you know what I mean? She's already coming down from the air and hitting you, and her hits are just devastating. And I chose to, on the fight as well, use the option to not auto-use my Talisman of Rebirth because I didn't want to have it being used for me in case I wasn't wanting to use it and then have to just let myself be killed because I wasn't satisfied with the goings-on of the fight. So there should be 2 of these worms down here. The best time to charge on them is when they stick their tongue in the water and they're drinking it up, because that will not ever make you get grabbed, and it gives you plenty of time to do a charge. So after the fight, save it, because there's another room that's mandatory. This is a mandatory room as well. So I'm gonna just drop down here and kill all the bugs with what is it, the wind blades. It's completely unnecessary. There's a box of blue essence down here as well. I think the only reason I came down here is because if I fell off doing my wall runs, they might have grabbed me, so I just wanted them out of the way, because these wall runs can be kind of particular. Okay, and then over here, you're pretty safe way back here. So I would definitely use the Vigorian Flail. Try to make as much money as you can, because we are coming up near the end of the game, and you'll want to have enough to buy extra talismans. Ah, this weapon does such a good job of making money. And it is overkill too, but it's a type of thing that the Tonfa is just, I don't know what they did with the Tonfa. They either adjusted it, or I'm misremembering how effective the flails are compared to the Tonfa. But this room is definitely cleaned up from Ninja Gaiden 2. There are fewer worms, and if you remember Ninja Gaiden 2, like the worms would go in and out of existence because the game was screwing up so much. I don't know what was going on, but it was a room full of worms, and a room full of worms is a room of shit, of course. And I do the optional fight with the dragon before the stair fight as well. So I would recommend doing that. The only thing that I really don't like is the dragon statue before the staircase fight. You can skip the battles, but there is a lot of run back to it, and then there's always the temptation of wanting to kill the dragon for the reward, which is 20,000 in essence. So, and he's not that bad either. It's just that sometimes I'm wondering how the game expects you to react to one of his attacks that is it can be a vertical AoE on the ground or a horizontal AoE, and if you're not comfortable with it, I would probably just use Nimpo when you see him, because he has a real obvious tell from when he's going to do it. And it doesn't outright kill you if you are at full health, but it does a lot of damage. And I tried to melee him a little bit at the very first part of the fight, but it doesn't do any damage. And then even the Void at level 3, it doesn't take off half his health like it did in Ninja Gaiden 2. And then with the bow just does chip damage on him. So your best alternative is the gun. And I think the only criticism about that option to hide the projectile weapon is that obviously you can't see it. So sometimes you might have one thing on when you think you have another on. And then, if you're stuck in a situation where you have to keep switching back, there's that move. I really like that move. But I'm glad that option is in the game. And I guess we have that one person, seemingly on X, that one unknown person who mentioned it, that they said, oh, let's implement that. Whereas, I try to ask for Ultimate Ninja and, to be fair, the patch just came out, so if they ever do another patch, let's just hope they add Ultimate Ninja difficulty. And I'll cover it for sure. So that's the second to last, or wait a second. Actually, I can't remember that Jewel of the Demon Seal. I wasn't paying attention. That could have been the last Jewel of the Demon Seal. So you don't need to do tests. Well, there are no tests of valor in this game. This game is, it formerly felt like a neutered game, but them adding so many enemies, like on the staircase fight, it does feel like it's fleshed out. The only other thing, too, I wanted to mention about Elizabeth is, on my strategy that I have, is that when I have the Falcon's Talons on, and I noticed that she's starting her combos, some of her longish combos, what I like to do is dodge a few paces backwards and switch to the side. And there is a particular skill in using, like, switching a weapon and then coming off of switch the weapon in the menu, and then it switches, but the game's still paused, right? And then coming off that pause to get an on-landing charge. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but if you can get that down, you can facilitate your UT, obviously, and help your chances of being able to get off that UT. And I'll be doing it the entire fight. So hopefully you don't feel too disappointed at the fight. I'm rather disappointed that the boss exists in the first place, so we're even, I guess. These guys are really slippery too. Really got to be careful, these fucking shits. They're not in Ninja Gaiden 2 either, by the way. They're in addition to this game. Okay, so we have a couple of bats over here. Lock-on's not working. Remember, when you're on the ground using the bow, it only takes 2 shots. You can take like twice as that many if you're jumping and shooting with the arrows. Particularly if the lock-on is not even hitting them either. So it looks like we've got a couple of, well, yeah, black Vangelfs. I'm telling you, if you want to make money, use the Vigorian flail. And when you're using it, tap Y repeatedly. Hopefully he'll do that long combo, and you can, consistently get a lot of combo. And that's one of the reasons I have so much money. And I'm not doing it just for my sake. I'm doing it so that you can emulate it and have money for yourself too. Because one of the problems that a lot of people get into is that they run out of money. They're too quick to buy upgrades, and they're too unmindful about the amount of items that they're using, and then they keep buying the items. They're not manipulating the chest properly. Anyway, there's one fight over here, and then there is a grains in one of these cages over here, but since I have full inventory of that, I'm not going to pick it up because I simply can't. But if you need a grains and you want to save money, there's one in that cage over to the right. And after them, definitely save it. Don't even think twice. Okay, so we've got some more of these over here. In my memory, there's 2 waves of these ones here. And you can skip these if you want to. But for the sake of a walkthrough, I don't like to skip things like that. But it is one of those things that can be kind of draining about the whole experience of doing the staircase fight is, well, at least when I make a walkthrough, the compulsion to do these fights. And, because the staircase fight, I mean, when enemies grab you, it takes a hell of a lot of damage off you. And there's a lot of times when enemies are just in really thick groups, and when you're going in for OTs and things, you got to be really careful. So I would like scythe UTs are probably perfect for the situation, even in this re-version of Sigma. I mean, of Ninja Gaiden 2. But if you're doing scythe UTs and then you're charging off the essence that you're getting from kills, bear in mind that you're not going to be getting that much money. So you've got to just think about it from your perspective. I would use the Vigorian flails. I just use different weapons. So here's the fight over here. I think I took no damage over here, so I wasn't in need of picking up an herb, which is behind us. And the usual problem about this guy is that when he's flying, your bullets often miss. And then if he's doing his fast attack, putting the gun away takes quite a long time. And sometimes you can get hit before you have the ability to move your character. He has an attack where he throws 3 fireballs. He's got an attack where he does a long drawn-out breath that does just 1 fireball. And then he's got a move where he moves his wings really quick and does a fast attack. That is that vertical or horizontal AoE on the ground. And it's very difficult to know what's expected of you about. Do I need to dodge forward, and because it's horizontal, or do I need to dodge left or right because it's vertical? And now his name is King Kater or something like that. He's always got a name that is so hard to pronounce. But it is nice that that's not mandatory, and it is nice that instead of getting a key that you needed to advance on Ninja Gaiden 2, they gave you 20,000. So it's pretty much the equivalent of giving you enough to buy a talisman. So if you need some reassurance over here, equip your talisman. There is a store coming up. I start this out with the scythe. And so what this seems to be is, if I'm remembering this correctly, is it's all Great Ninja, but at the end, well, there might be some IS Ninja, but at the end there's IS Ninja, and not just a couple. There's a lot of them, and it seemed like they're spamming their shurikens at me for some reason. I'm not sure, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just because there's so many of them. But one of the problems on a fight like this is that it's really a narrow area that you're fighting on, and you're going to have to adapt your thought process about when you're doing your on-landing charge, because the timing is different when you're trying to get on landing charge on a sloped platform rather than, a platform that's just completely flat. And you'll see me miss my on-landing charge all the time because I'm not, there's only a few times in the game that it's sloped so dramatically like this. So the best Nimpo by far on this, and this is a great fight, and I'm glad they added more enemies and made it more of a compelling fight and a demanding one. It's really good. The wind blades, you'll want the wind blades for sure. And then also timing on landings off of, when you're jumping off walls and things like that. Just be careful, though, about going in for OTs when there's so many around. Because, as you know, they'll grab you without hesitating. And I get into the problem of getting backed into this wall quite a bit too, because I don't want to progress up too far. I want them to come to me, but I'm actually shooting myself in the foot kind of, because then I don't really have anywhere to go. So, and it is a great fight. You'll see ninjas just falling out of the air. It's really, really good. And I do think that this version of Sigma 2 is better. It's not perfect by any means, and it's never something I would want to play over Ninja Gaiden 2, but there has been a goodish demand for this amongst my subscribers, and that was flattering, and I do appreciate everybody's desire to have me do the walkthrough, so I'm obliging. So yeah, I just use different weapons here. I do like Fly Swallow Azuna dropping a couple guys. Remember, if you don't want the essence to come into you, oh, you fucking bastard. I thought he was going to explode, and I was resigned to it. Did you see? I didn't shake him off fast enough by mashing buttons, because I was resigned to him blowing up, but I didn't realize until a few seconds that it gives you the opportunity to mash the buttons before anything happens, like he blows up on you. Yeah, hold the block button to not absorb essence if you're trying to keep it in the environment. That's what you should be always doing. But I actually was surprised. I did this on Chapter Challenge before I did the. I think the guide was in limbo for like a week because I was trying to figure out why I was getting so much. I was trying to fix my computer to solve the problem of the visual stutters that have been happening. Like at the end of the last video against the dragon, right before I OT'd him at the end, there was a considerable slowdown. So I've had to do everything I could possibly think of to fix the problem. Some people on the Vegas Pro forum have been kind enough to spare some of their time and help me as well, try to figure things out. just with every possible suggestion that they could think of. You make so much money with the flails. It's just almost every combo you do, it gets you near 50. I mean, we're at 100. That's twice as much as we only need 50. 100 is just so redundant anyway. But this can be really, really tense just because of how many there are. You think there's not that many more, and then there are a lot more coming. I'm wondering how many there are compared to Ninja Gaiden 2. What do you think? Maybe they matched it just for, to be respectful of the old game, have some parity with it. I'm trying to think. I'd like to say that maybe they matched the number, but with Ninja Gaiden 2, there are always so many enemies. But it does feel like the enemies don't stop coming. So I do like that feeling because it's stressful and it's really fun. And I'm actually glad that I had that lull in the project, because I might have done this chapter before the patch, and people would be I would be less interested too in it pre-patch. I mean, it's interesting to look at it and compare it, but people are going to be dissatisfied more than likely with the pre-patch because they want to see all the enemies, and I would too. But yeah, have we seen a single IS Ninja? We have not, but you will at the end too. So I'm switching to my scythe here. Now back to the lunar. I've got no essence, but I do see a drop right there, so that's pretty good. And I'm using Nimpo, trying to see if I get more Nimpo, but didn't get any. Yeah, Elizabeth as a boss is so fucking horrible. So bad. Do you like Elizabeth? I mean, there's really good players that, it took me like a full hour to do her, and there were and I probably used every healing item, and I use a talisman every birth. So that's just what it is. I'll have to get better at her. I also wanted to remind you, though, when you're trying to hit her out of the air, make sure that you're pressing X plus A and then Y to be more accurate about hitting her. And I don't like the fact that if you get stuck in some of her attacks, you lose a ton of health, and she gets health back. That's one thing I fucking hate as well. When bosses get their health back, it's not enough that she hits like a tank. It's not enough that she has a sickening amount of iframes to her character model. It's deplorable. So we're back at the start here. Any more coming up? Now this looks like the end of this wave, but I know this is by far not the end of the fight, because we still have that wave of IS Ninja. Got a little Nimpo there, that's good. And let's see. Yeah, this should be where the IS Ninja are, right over here. Yep. A lot of them aren't there. I see like 5 of them. And man, I'm getting tagged with a lot of shurikens here. I'm getting really uncomfortable and worried because, getting juggled is really scary. And I don't have my Talisman of Rebirth equipped because I refuse to use it. Oh man, and then they cut you off. Well, you can say they cut you off, but it's my positioning that's dictating where they're coming from. I mean, not that it's dictating it, but it's my position that's determining whether or not they're cutting me off. Because if, I was way down at the bottom, then they wouldn't cut me off. They'd be falling from their pre-designed place, I suppose. But that was kind of scary to be, down in health quite a bit, and then there were so many around me, and then I saw more falling behind me, so I was getting pincered, and I was kind of getting worried. One thing that I kind of rue about the Falcon's Talons is forward Y was the best move to delimb enemies and sever limbs. Not so on this game. It doesn't ever work hardly. I mean, do it 5 times maybe it might, if every one of them connects. But they have so much resistance to it. Forward Y was the best move with the Falcon's Talons. The Vigorian Flail's forward Y was not shabby either. But I did prefer the Falcon's Talons because I prefer that weapon and the Flying Swallow into a Zuna drop. I'm just not a Vigorian Flail user. Yeah, getting tagged while in the air with those exploding kunai is very dangerous. And there's more coming. In Ninja Gaiden 2, the IS ninjas only made an appearance at the beginning of the fight, and then once the fight progressed, from thence forward, it was nothing but Grey Ninja. It wasn't like this. This is a different type of spawn. Like you would have to contend with them at first, but then I don't know. Maybe after 10 of them, it was just all Grey Ninja, and then you didn't have to worry about any more ISs coming at you after your first few minutes. Now I'm using my scythe just to take care of some business here, but I'm only able to get off ETs because, oh, shit. But I have to say that, for the developer, listening to people is always a good thing, because your game is only going to be popular for a little while, and you better take full advantage of its popularity and people's interest while the game's new and people are, asking you to do things and things. I mean, you don't have to be, I'm not saying for them to be slavish about following everybody's wish, like, oh, add Ultimate Ninja difficulty. But, just them listening in the first place, I think that's positive. And we should be more or less done with this. I mean, now that this fight has gone on a long time, and now I am thinking maybe there is some parity with the Ninja Gaiden 2 enemy count. Yeah, I remember this was the last guy. Okay, there's just one more fight before Elizabeth, so once you get over to the... Now I'm thinking, is this fight skippable? I don't think it is. I know that either on this game or Ninja Gaiden 2, you could skip this fight. This is an example of charging too late. I should have charged immediately. I don't know what I was thinking. Actually, I know exactly what I was thinking. I remember I remember doing that entire fight once, and then I opened that box and my game crashed when I was playing back on the 360. When that game always used to crash on that shitty system. Even though it's a great system, I'm not saying that. It was just shitty software. Okay, just some Van Gelfs down here. One black one, and then, well, I guess they're all Van Gelfs. But just, consider what you want to take to the Elizabeth. Again, I'm going to be using the Falcon's Talons, and I'm going to be trying to hit her out of the air. She's a variation of Alma from the earlier Ninja Gaiden, meaning that there's a random chance of hitting her out of the air, and she'll make she'll cry out when you've done it, and she drops, and you get to punish her. But the punishment window, I might be exaggerating when I say it's 2 seconds. I mean, it's probably 3 seconds or something like that, but you have to punish her fast and get the hell away from her. And I found that the 360Y with the Falcon's Talons, I never got grabbed from her. It just does enough damage, it's long enough, and it just works out better. Okay, so be careful about what you buy. Don't overbuy a grains over here, because there's a grains there. And then there's a box of Nympho that only gives me 3, even though I have 4 places for it. And you can clearly see there's more than 3 that came out of there. So that's an oddity that happens sometimes. So here's Elizabeth. I think there was only one instance where I knocked her down and did this. So I was fine with the footage as long as I just did that one time so you can see what it is. And again, it's very hard to. It's easy to get into this sense of complacency about flying swallowing her, because it's really easy to get punished. And here's me switching to the sides, coming off a menu and getting it on landing. That's what I was talking about trying to obtain that skill. Because it's really it's respectable amount of damage. She lets you hit her a couple times with X. I wouldn't use Y. If you do want to melee with her, you can do X attacks. But what I would do is I would distance myself from her to bait her to go up into the air and use her magic, then go over to her and try to hit her out of the air. So we'll just run up to her, try to do it. Here she's starting a combo, and I thought it was the 3-hit combo, but she only did 1. That's why I didn't switch to the scythe. But when she is walking around, you do have ample time to do a scythe, like right here. She's doing the 3-hit combo, so I'm going to switch to my scythe. Unfortunately, she flew up fast right there, though. But that's my strategy from now on her. I don't know what I'll do with the second fight at the 17th chapter. Also, don't do what I did right there. If she's against the wall, don't fly swallow. It's just not good. It's too risky. And there we go. I landed my unlanding off on that one right there. And did you see that damage? That's a good amount of damage. And if all you want to do is just do side UTs, that is possible, but she does fly up a lot, and when she is in the air, your side UT is not going to hit her. Plus, then you're going to have to, go over to her not go over to her, but avoid her AoEs on the ground and things like that. And it can be really difficult getting the timing for that. But I wanted to just do a couple things here. Basically, just hit her out of the air and then punish her with the 360Y with the Falcon's Talons. Shame I wasn't able to. She got some health back there. Also, when you see her doing that attack, jump away and switch to your scythe if you don't have it equipped and do a charge. And near the end, you might see kind of a roughish edit because I didn't have the option selected to auto use my talisman. So I got the game over screen, and then on this version it asks you if you want to use your talisman. And because I was more or less satisfied with the fight, I'm not proud of it very much, but I chose to just say, okay, I'll use the talisman. Oh, this is the perfect setup here to use the scythe right here, because when she commits to that 3-hit combo, you can be guaranteed of the time that you have to jump away and prepare your scythe UT. And we're nearly done with this. And in the meantime, we're always just flying swallowing her too to do extra damage. That's the whole point of it. Here we go. I saw her doing this. I know she'll probably give me time to hit her with that. What am I doing here? Oh, I'm switching back to the Falcon's Talons. Everything's going okay, but shame I only knocked her down once. But yeah, you get too haphazard with overextending and doing too many flying swallows, she's going to hit you out of the air. So be real careful and listen for that cry that she does, meaning that you have hit her out of the air. Sorry. I had thought I would be able to get through this without using the talisman, because in my mind it's kind of a source of shame to have to use it, but oh well. There's some good damage. She's gonna finish me off over here. Okay, there's the death. There's the edit. There's the Talisman of Rebirth. And we'll finish her off. And I'm not looking forward to Chapter 17 and having to fight her again after a hard fight with Genshin. So, I will see you in Chapter 14. Please take care.